Welcome back to the Barber Mosaic. I am Maurice, and today let's talk a little bit about Canon's latest drop, the C400 cinema camera. All the usual questions, who is this camera for? What is this? Would you need this camera? Camera. But okay, I'm gonna just keep it real, bro. I shoot a lot of sports, basketball, football. I do those same things, sports like documentaries and stuff. So I'm always looking for an excuse to upgrade my camera. And a couple of the cameras that I'm shooting with now, well, I'm shooting this right now with the Canon R6 Mark II and the 35mm 1.8 lens. I shoot a lot with this, the Canon R5C. It's probably my favorite camera of all time. And I also shoot with the Canon XF605, right? Those are my three cameras. Those are the cameras that I use the most. I do most of my stills over the R6 Mark II. My A camera is the 605, and I shoot a lot of my B-roll stuff because I get the 120 frames slow motion in 4K with the R5C, and my shit don't match. A lot of my footage just does not match, and I want to make a move to cameras that match. I want to be able to shoot with a couple different cameras and be able to match it up in post. The XF605 was not exactly what I thought I was getting when I got it. One of the things that I really do not enjoy about that camera having that fixed lens on it is that it's a variable aperture. Like, it'll start out at 2.8, but the further I zoom, it'll shut down. The aperture shuts down. Well, f-stop goes up, and that's just not key for what I want to do. I thought I was getting something, and I thought I knew what I was doing, and it just didn't work. I took what I thought was going to be a cheaper route to get a desired outcome, and it's not what happened. So I pretty much, when I'm doing football, I'm shooting with the 605, and when I'm doing my indoor shit, like my basketball stuff, then I use the R5C. The lens I'm going to be using with that is the Canon 24-105 f2.8. That's the lens I'm going to be using most of the time for my basketball stuff. I am in the market for a camera. I'm in the market for an A cam, like a very solid A cam that I can then use my R5C as a B cam. I want to get more into documentary, more into interview stuff, and I really feel like it's time for me to upgrade my joint, right? And the question that I'm going to be asking myself is, because I've been inching closer to getting in the pool of a cinema camera. I know at some point I am going to need a dedicated cinema camera. And while the R5C is a cinema camera, it's not a dedicated cinema camera. I'm talking about something that all it does is shoot video. If I'm jumping in right now, is the C400 something that might be for me? So, and of course, the first thing that you do when you're looking at a camera, a new camera, is you're looking at the specs. Like, what are the specs? What does the camera do? First things first is we know that it's got a 6K full frame backside illuminated sensor. Full frame is dope. We understand it's a full frame. That's what kept me from getting into the C70, because it was a Super 35 sensor, and with the lenses that I got, I'm not gonna get like an accurate depiction of the lens and with the camera. Like, I got, like, say this 35mm lens is not gonna be a 35mm lens when I put it on the C70. So I kind of shied away from, getting a C70. But now that this is our first, or technically second, full frame cinema camera, now I'm thinking about, okay, so now the lenses that I actually have, because I do have a few RF lenses. I got the 7200, I've got, of course, the 35mm that I'm shooting on right now. I have the 24-105 2.8, also got a 85 1.2. So I got some lenses, and I think that now's the time for me to really look at, getting into like a dedicated cinema camera. So we understand, first things first, that it does have that 6K full frame backside illuminated sensor. We get that. It does still support Super 35, Super 16 modes. So if I wanted to crop in and get some extra reach, I do have that. It has a triple based ISO, and that to me kind of means something. I think it's ISO 800, 3200, and then 12,800. So that's gonna make this camera a stupid low light beast. And for what I'm doing, a lot of the places where I go, especially shooting football, a lot of the places I go are not lit well enough. I find myself pushing the ISO sometimes, and that can introduce a lot of noise. So when I'm thinking about a camera like this, like the C400, being that good in low light, of course I'm not gonna blind buy. I'm gonna wait for you guys to get the camera, review the camera, and show some real world use before I actually jump into it. But I'm thinking about it right now. Being that good in low light can really help me, because we understand, bro, football is a game that's played mostly at night. Most of the time, you know, school, and I shoot high school. I shoot high school sports. Most of the time, when they're shooting that stuff, it's at night. And I shoot weddings as well. And a lot of times, you're gonna need that ISO to jump up in order to stay, you know what I'm saying, to keep the subjects lit and everything lit well at weddings too. It does have internal cinema raw light, XF AVC recording, new XF HEVCS. That's gonna be an MP4 stop. Has 10 stops of built-in mechanical ND. That's clutch. The only camera that I do have right now that has internal ND is the XF605, but I want to upgrade from that camera. It says that the autofocus has been greatly improved, and this is a dual pixel CMOS autofocus version 2. So this is going to be even snappier. One thing that really is not going to matter too much to me right now, because I don't have PL lenses and I don't look into getting into the PL lenses, especially since Canon are making these dope ass lenses like the 24-105 and of course the new 35 1.4 that just dropped. So there is an option to get a PL to RF mount adapter to help you with those big cine lenses that a lot of people like to use. You got time code, gen lock, return video input, Ethernet, Wi-Fi control, and of course the camera looks to be very compact, lightweight, and easy to set up. So with the 6K backside illuminated stacked sensor, that's gonna make this camera really, really good in low light. The 4K being oversampled 6K, that's gonna make that 4K even that much more crispy. One thing about this though, the release of the C400, it really validated my choice in getting the R5C when I got it. Because I mean, if you take a look at it spec-wise, just looking at the specs, bruh, the R5C stacks up pretty good against this camera. I think it can make a really solid B cam to a camera like the C400 as an A cam. Bro, finally, I'll get to shoot with C-Log 2. It comes with C-Log 2, C-Log 3, and also you can shoot RAW. So that's something I'm definitely excited about that. Now, Canon did say that this cinema camera has the most dynamic range of any of the cinema cameras that they already got out. But of course, we're gonna have to let you guys use the camera, put some videos up so that we can see. People like Gerald Undone and Brandon Washington and them cats, they're gonna have to, you know, make some videos with the camera so we can see exactly what's going on. I have watched a ton of videos on the camera already, and I'm excited about it. I really think that's a dope camera. The $8,000 price tag is a little bit hefty. For what you get from this camera, especially in comparison to other cameras like it, like, I think that's a pretty good price. I think this camera was kind of put in place to really battle with the Sony FX6. I think the FX6 is like 6K, and this is 8K. So it's around that same similar price point. If you got $6,000 to spend on the camera, you got $8,000. It does have 2 card slots, a CF Express Type B, as well as a standard traditional SD card. It does have a new battery pack, the BP830N. The old batteries still work, like the batteries from these batteries, they'll still work. They'll still work there. But I do believe with the older batteries, you will lose some functionality. So all in all, I think it's a dope camera for the price. I am gonna be watching intently. I'm gonna be paying attention to all the videos that you guys are gonna be making as soon as y'all get the camera in your hand. Let me know where you're at. What do you think about this camera? Is this something that you think that you might want? How will adding this camera to your kit help your workflow? Let me know. This has been Maurice with the Barber Mosaic. Do not forget to like, subscribe to the channel. I'm out.